In today's lesson, we're going to run down the basics of upper structure triads, looking at major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7 chords. I'll show you some great ways to start using triads in your rhythm playing and improvising to simplify things on the fretboard. My name is Jack Ruch. Welcome to my channel. Let's get into it. So to start, we're going to look at a basic A major 7 chord. This chord is comprised of the root, 3rd, 5th, and major 7th, the notes A, C sharp, E, and G sharp. Now when we talk about an upper structure triad, we're talking about a triad built from the upper part of the chord. And since a 7th chord is a 4-note chord, we're talking about the triad made from the 3rd, 5th, and 7th of the chord. So the notes C sharp, E, and G sharp. And if we look at this super common voicing right here, if we take away the root, we can easily see that we're left with a C sharp minor triad. So C sharp minor is the upper structure triad of A major 7, which means anywhere we know a C sharp minor triad, we can use that to play over an A major 7 chord. So this is really useful for coming up with rhythm comping ideas and fill ideas. So here I'm going to play along to a track that's just a 1-chord vamp over A major 7, and I'm going to use this idea to come up with some ideas. Now we can continue adding more extensions on top of the chord. If we go ahead and make this a full A major 9 chord and add the note B on top, the 9th, then we can build a triad using the 5th, major 7th, and 9th of the chord, and that gives us this E major triad, which over A has this really nice extended sound. I also like to use the sharp 11 sometimes. The note D sharp. And if we add that and build a triad with the major 7th, 9th, and sharp 11, we get this G sharp minor triad over A, which is a really nice sound. And of course, we can play some of these as full 7th chords. We could play a full C sharp minor 7 chord over A, or we can play a full E major 7 chord, has a really nice sound with that sharp 11 in there. So here I'll play to the track again, and I'll use some of these ideas for some comping and rhythm ideas. Alright, so let's move over to an A minor 7 chord. This is made up of the notes A, C, E, and G. And if we look at this voicing and we take away the root, we can see right away that our upper structure triad is a C major triad, right? So we can play C major anywhere on the fretboard over A to get this A minor 7 sound. And of course we can go ahead and add more extensions. If we incorporate the 9 in there, then we get an E minor triad, over A, which gives us this A minor 9 sound. And if we add the 11 in there, then we get a G major triad, just like a G over A, which is a really nice sound. So by knowing these triads around the neck, this really breaks us out of the box and opens the door for some new ways of visualizing things on the fretboard, new ideas for comping when we're playing rhythm by incorporating these triads in there. By understanding what these notes are, how they relate back to the chord, it really opens the door for some new ideas. So I'm going to play along to an A minor 7 vamp right now, and use some C major, E minor, and G major triad ideas over the backing track. Last but certainly not least, we're going to move over to the A dominant 7th chord, which is made up of the root A, the 3rd C sharp, the 5th E, and the flat 7th G. And if we look at the upper structure triad built from C sharp, E, and G, the 3rd, 5th, and flat 7th, we get a diminished triad. So C sharp diminished. And again, anywhere we can play that triad, we can use it over an A bass note to get an A dominant 7th chord. And just like we did with the minor 7th, we can add the 9th and get an E minor triad. We can add the 11th and get a G major triad. So here I'll play over an A7 vamp, and I'll use some of these triad ideas in my rhythm and soloing. Now, one last thing to consider with dominant chords is that oftentimes dominant chords are used in a progression to build tension and then resolve to the next chord. This is what's called a functioning dominant chord. In the previous example, I just played over a 1-chord dominant vamp. But oftentimes in a progression, you'll see a dominant chord as a way to build tension and then resolve. So in this case, it's really useful to take our upper structure diminished triad and make it a full diminished 7th chord. This will help build even more tension that really resolves very nicely when we get to the next chord. So for this example, I'm going to use these chords A major to C sharp 7 and then resolve to F sharp minor. So in this case, C sharp 7 is a functioning dominant chord. It's actually a secondary dominant chord that is functioning as the dominant 5 chord of F sharp minor, the chord we're moving to. And so in this case, it's really nice to take this upper structure triad and add a minor 3rd up from the flat 7, this note D, and then we get this full diminished 7th chord, which is symmetrical, and we can move it around in minor 3rds, which is super handy when it comes to comping and adding some more flavor to this type of a chord progression. So in this next example, I'm going to play over this track that just goes from A major, C sharp 7 to F sharp minor, and over that C sharp 7 chord, I'm going to use some of these diminished voicings to get to F sharp minor. So this can be a really effective way to add some interesting flavor and color to this type of a chord progression, and it's related to these sort of upper structure ideas. You can also make lines out of these diminished arpeggios, and I'll do a little of that in this example, so check it out. Okay guys, hopefully this sheds some light on some new and different ways to use triads and how chords are built. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you dug this video, and always thank you guys for watching. I will catch you next time. Take care.